Okay, fine. So today we are going to learn about functions in JavaScript. Okay, so that we will see. So as we have learned how to declare a variable. So to declare a variable, generally what we do, we use which keyword? Anyone?
That
Where? Okay, and then any identifier name or variable name we can say, isn't it? Like data, and then we assign some value in it. So to assign any value, what operator we use here? Assignment operator, that is equal to, and then some values we can assign here. Let's say 20. Okay, so likewise, if you want to declare a function, okay, so here, uh, first of all, we will see what is the use of variable right now. What we can do with the variable? Just two things. Either we can store some data in it, or we can retrieve some value, whatever we have stored here. Okay, just two things we can do here by using a variable name. And what else we can do here apart from this? What is the benefit here by using the variable? We can reuse every time. Wherever you want, you can call this variable. So likewise, if you want to do something repeatedly multiple times, then you can use functions. And to declare a function, you need to use function keyword first, function keyword, then function name. Let's say here I'm going to use the function name as greet, and then here you have to add parenthesis. Okay, immediately after that function name. Okay, and then you have to open a curly brace and close the curly brace. In between these two curly brace only, whatever you want to do with this function, you have to write the logic here. So this is basically known as, you can see here, that is a function keyword, this is function name, and the completely from here to here, it is known as function head, and this is function body. This is function body. In between, we write our logic here, whatever you want to do with this function. So basically here I'm going to write simply console dot log just to print any message here on console. This is a function. Okay, so what exactly is this? If someone will ask you what is this, so you can say this is a function declaration, you can say this is a function statement. Okay, so here we have declared it. Okay, now the first thing here, we have seen how to declare a function, okay, or how to define a function. Whenever someone will ask you how to define a function or what is a function statement, you can say just we need to add a function keyword, then a function name, and after that we need to add a parents, where then we need to open curly braces, and means you need to add a pair of curly braces, and in between that you have to write the logic. So this is known as what? This term, just do remember the function statement, you can say function declaration, you can say. Okay, or you can say this is a function definition. Okay, here this one is a function definition, whatever you will write in the body. Next thing, how to call this one? So simply whatever function name you have here defined, okay, by using that you can call it. So simply if you'll write this greet, what will happen? If you'll write simply greet, it will return you the same function. See here, f is nothing but function, and the same here, the function name and the same body it is returning. So this is kind of expression. Okay, this is kind of expression. So simply you need to write greet, and to call this function, if you want to make this one functional, what you have to do, you need to call this function by using this parenthesis. Okay, so what exactly is this here? This is, you can say, function declaration, okay, or a function statement. But what is this? So this is known as, you can say, a function call, or you can say function invocation, because you are going to run, or you can say execute that function. Okay, so if I'll press enter here, you will get this. This is a function because you are calling this function, and this is whenever someone is going to ask you how to invoke a function, what you have to say, simply you need to write that function name, and to invoke that function, what you have to do, you need to add a like set of parentheses. Immediately it will call that function. Okay, and this is known as callable values also. Okay, callable values. Why I'm saying values? Because let's say if I'm going to write here simply where x is equal to greet. Okay, so now if you'll check x, inside x that value is been assigned already. You can see here the same function is been assigned. So if the same function is been assigned inside x, now if you'll call x also, if you'll invoke x also, you will get the same result. Okay, so that's why we call it as what? Callable values. Okay, this one, because we are calling this value. This is a value and we are calling it. So we can say this one as function call or function invocation, or we can say callable values. Functions are callable values, you can say simply. Okay, so now we know how to declare a function, how to call a function, isn't it? Any doubt here with this like declaration and call? Anyone?
Sir, that's
Yeah.
greet to and to declare, sir, before that function not required. Some
Where?
greet we are using na that function.
Yes, here we have greet.
That to be before that and to be means some variable like that not required, na, sir. It is a
Where exactly you are saying? Here you are saying
uh,
like I have assigned here. No,
yes,
this
sir,
one.
yes, sir.
So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I was showing you that this is a kind of value. Okay,
Okay, okay.
and we can assign it in any
Yes,
other
okay,
variable.
okay,
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 and we can
okay,
call it as a, again, like a function. We can invoke that one. So that's what I was showing you here. In
okay,
that
sir.
form also we can do that. Okay, so
Okay,
we have seen here how to declare a function, isn't it, and how to call a function. So two terms are there. First one is function declaration or function statement. Another one is function invocation, or you can say function call. Okay, and functions are known as callable values also. Why it is known as callable values? Because we can assign a function as a value inside any other variable. Okay, so I don't think like this feature is there in any other programming language, that we can assign a function as a value in a variable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not present in other language.
Yes, so here we can assign a function as a value in any variable. Now the next thing is here, how about naming convention? How to write a function name, and what are the valid functions name? So if you remember, we have learned about the naming conventions of the variable. The same thing is applicable here. You can use any alphabets, either caps or the small alphabets. You can use special characters as underscore and dollar. You can use numbers, but you cannot start any function name with numbers. Okay, the same thing. And to write that function name, always you need to uh, follow that camel case format. Means the first word will be in a small case and the second word first letter will be in capital case. Like that you need to write. So now I'm going to write here, let's say function. Okay, and here I'm saying add. Simply add. So function is mandate to declare any function, and here we have add now. So add is a function name, and here we have this one is a parenthesis and then curly braces. So in between curly braces you need to write your logic. So let's say here I'm saying console.log, okay, add 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3. Now if I want to call this function, what I need to do is I need to call this one first. If you will write simply add, so in add actually we have a function expression. This is stored inside add. So add is also kind of identified. This is nothing special here. Okay, and this is stored. This is kind of simple value. Until and unless you are not going to invoke that, it is not going to work. So this is kind of normal variable, just function type of data. If you will check type of type of add, you will get what? Function. What type of value is stored in it inside add variable right now, or identifier? Function. So if you will store something like this, let's say where m is equal to 12, okay, and type of m will be what? Number. So likewise, if you will declare a function with any name, and if you'll try to check the type of that identifier, it will return you a string function. Okay, so now I'm going to declare it, and if you want to call that one, simply what you need to do is just you need to write that identifier name, whatever function name you have declared, and to invoke that, just you need to write that parents, then it will call. So what is the advantage here of this function if you are declaring in your program? So as many times you want to call this one, no, you can call it, you will get the result. So every time it is adding that value, isn't it? So if you want to call it like multiple times here, you can see we are able to do. Okay, so reusability you can see here by using function we can achieve. Okay, the first thing, as many times you want to call that function, the same functionality it is going to perform, isn't it? Now one more thing here, okay, that we will see. If I'm writing like this, okay, if I'm writing like this, or if I'm simply calling this one, I'm getting here 5 and then I'm getting undefined. What exactly is that? What is undefined? Anyone can tell me why I'm getting undefined? I'll refresh this. I'll show you this one. Here we have this function declaration, and now I'm going to call this function. So here also I'm getting undefined, and here also I'm getting undefined. So if you can tell me why I'm getting here undefined, anyone? Where else you have seen like undefined? When
That
we
it
get
has a false
Declaration
value.
object whenever you're declaring.
Whenever I'm declaring a variable and not assigning any value in it, isn't it?
Yes.
And this is the second time you are saying here why I'm getting this one. That I'll show you. So if you have observed, if you are aware of like some other programming language like C, so in that programming language, generally we write int. Anyone can tell me, like, if you are aware of that programming language, either Java or C or C sharp, what is the meaning of int? If someone will ask you simply what is int, then what
Data
you will
type.
data type.
It is a
Not
data
exact.
type, like a
Which
different type
can
of data type,
hold
right? Char.
which can hold an integer type value.
Not exactly. See, now you are saying this is a data type. I have not written here after this int. How you can say that one is a data type? Right now, this is just keyword. Okay. And based on like its scenarios, there are two different scenarios that I'm going to show you. Based on that only you can say whether it's a data type or something else. Let's say if I'm writing int a is equal to 10 in C I'm talking about, not in JavaScript. So now if I'll ask you what is int here, then you
Here
can
it is according to
here
you, here it is a data type, right?
here it is a data type because it is stating here that a is a type of variable, which is type of what? Integer.
Integer type.
Yes, but if you are going to write, let's say int main, now is it a data type?
No.
What
No.
exactly here it is? It is a
Function.
It's
function
a
return
function
type.
returning integer type.
Yeah, so this is a function return type, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if I'm writing simply here main, what will be the return type here in that programming language?
Which programming
In
language?
C, if you are familiar with that, that is kind of void by default,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
isn't
by
it?
default void. Yeah.
So like that, explicitly, if you are not returning any value, you will get what? Undefined. And undefined is here what? Return type of that particular function. Got it?
No.
No?
No.
See here. Here simply what I'm doing, simply I'm printing the values. Okay. If I'm calling here add, so what it is doing? Add. Okay. It is adding that value, and explicitly I have not written here return. Okay. Isn't it? Let's
Yes.
say if I'm simply calling add, what value we will get? Tell me. 5 and then
5.
undefined.
Yeah.
So if you want to write again add plus add, what will be the output?
10.
You are getting 5, again 5, and then you are getting not a number. If you will call add, okay, add, what you will get? 5. Okay, because here it is saying print that 2 plus 3, you will get 5. And then here you are getting again print that what? This one, 2 plus 3, again it will call 5. Now here after returning that, what value you have here? Undefined, isn't it? Return type
Yes.
is undefined, and undefined plus undefined.
Not a number.
So return type of this function and return type of this function, every time you are getting what? Undefined. So you are not able to add actually here, just we are printing. What if you want to add every time, as many times you are going to call this one? So at that time, what you need to do is explicitly you have to write, let's say whenever I'm calling add, what you have to do, instead of printing the value, you need to return the value. Okay. So here I'm returning actual value. Okay. If I'll call now, simply add, I'm getting 5, not undefined, because now I'm returning actual value. Okay. Here explicitly I have defined that return this integer value, isn't it? So the return type is now that number. So that's why you are not getting here undefined. But if you will not use this explicitly, this return keyword, no, then you will get what? Undefined, because you are not returning anything from there, just printing that one. And
What in
now
case of if you are returning string?
anything, if you will return, you will not get that undefined. Let's say here you have this one, return, I'm saying here simply hello. You are getting hello, not undefined, because here you are returning some value, no? So the return type is what? String. Okay. You can see here. Now I can tell you here now. Let's say here, type of whatever value you are returning, that is what right now?
String.
A string. And previously, what we were using here? This one. So type of this one is what? Undefined. If you'll write like this, means you are not returning anything, no? Because you are not using any return keyword here. So implicitly, if you're not returning, what it will return? Undefined. Is that clear now?
Yeah,
When, yeah, please go ahead.
now it's clear.
Yeah. So here I'm not using return keyword, means I'm not returning any value from this function. So implicitly,
The
this function,
compiler
when,
will take each and every, take care of these, right?
sorry.
The compiler will take care of everything. Yeah.
Yes. Explicitly, if you're not defining that return, internally, the by default return value will be what? Undefined. So this is the second case. First, when you will get undefined values, when you are declaring a variable, okay, and not assigning a value in it, you will get what? Undefined value. Now, second thing, if you are declaring a function and not giving a explicit return value to that function, then what JavaScript engine is going to return by default? Undefined. This is the second scenario. Other one also I'm going to show you in function only. So the by default return type, if someone is going to ask you of a function, what you will say? That is undefined. Okay. And if you are going to return an actual value from a function, then here, see, if you'll call simply add, what you will get? 5. And what type of value you are getting from that function? That is number. Now, if we'll try to perform that operation here, add plus add. So here I'm not getting any undefined value. So simply it is doing what? Return that value from here, that I'm getting what? After calling this function 5, and that is a number, and 5 plus 5 what? 10. So here you can see the reusability every time I'm returning this one. So the default value, or you can say the default return type of a function in JavaScript is undefined, until and unless if you're not going to return any value from it. Okay, clear?
Yes.
Now, the second thing here we have, in interview, they ask, what is the difference between function statement or function declaration and function expression? Have you heard of it? Function expression, anyone? What is the difference between function statement and function expression?
Means function statement and expression, right?
Yes, yes.
No, I heard about declaration and then their expression. Means we declare the function uh,
Yeah.
at starting and then we write its expression according to our need.
Expression like what exactly? So let's say
For
here we
example,
have,
just we declare the add function and
yes.
we didn't write its expression because now we didn't need it, right? But later on,
Where is
if
expression? Are you talking about here, this one, in between the parents?
mm, no, like
So what exactly expression is?
miss whatever you write now, it is the like expression.
This is expression.
Yeah, according to me.
Okay. So in JavaScript, the main difference is here, like, have you heard of a paradigm in programming language that is like very popular? OOPS, object-oriented programming language system. This is a very popular paradigm.
Oops, we know, sir.
Yes. So in JavaScript, you can use like another one also, that is functional paradigm, functional programming. Have you heard of it?
No.
No.
Likewise, as we follow OOPS paradigm, no, likewise here we have in JavaScript functional programming. Just explore about it, like what is functional programming. You will get to know like what exactly functional programming is. So just to support that, what they did here in JavaScript, simply I'm going to copy this one. So this is normal function declaration, or you can say statement. What is function expression? Second thing, here I'm going to write var, okay, add is equal to, then I'll assign function in it. Okay. Okay. So here you can see I'm assigning this function as a what? Value, isn't it? So this is not possible in any other programming language. So this is known as expression. Okay. And here we do not require any semicolon, but here you need to add one semicolon just to terminate this statement. So this is one expression. If you will remove this one, then also it will work, because there is a concept in JavaScript called ASI, automatic semicolon insertion. Automatically it will insert there. Okay. So if you're writing like this, that is the correct one. So here we have this one as a value. We have assigned it over here. If you will just print the value of add, you will get that exact function with that name, and here you have the entire function body. You can see here that declared function. Now if you are going to call this one add, okay, you will get that same result. Or you can say here, let's say I'm going to write it as add one, and now if you want to call this one add one, you will get 5. Okay. So this is a function expression. Whenever you are going to assign a function as a value in any other variable, that is known as function expression. But what is the basic difference here is, let's say here I'm going to write demo, or instead of demo, magic 1. I'm calling this function and I'm writing here function magic 1 console.log magic 1. What will be the output here? Error, or if you will get magic 1 or something else?
Magic one.
Why? As you know, here JavaScript is a compiled programming language, but it will parse code from top to bottom. Okay. So before declaring this function, you are trying to call this function. Is it possible that we can call?
Maybe it is possible in JavaScript.
In any other programming language?
It's not possible.
Not possible.
Here you will get magic one. Means before declaration also on top of your code, like you have 1,000 lines of code and you have declared like in line number 800, you are starting this function and you are calling this one in lines 2. It will work. Okay. But that depends actually if the scope is same. So that we will learn later. Now, what I'm going to do is here I'm going to write var magic2 is equal to, I'm going to copy this one. We'll paste it here. Okay. Magic2. Here it is magic2. Now I'm going to call this one. What will be the output?
Magic 2.
Magic2 or error or something else? Or what type of error you are going to get here?
Here it is a according to you, here it is an expression, right?
Yes.
So might be it's not possible. It give error.
Error, but not sure what type of error, no?
And yeah, not sure.
Type error. Uncaught type error. Magic2 is not a function, but it is a function. As you can see, isn't it? If you will check type of magic2 right now, here it is not executed actually. Let me do one thing. Just I'm going to comment this one. If you will check here type of magic2, what type of it is? See,
Function.
it is a function, but in error, what it is saying?
Is not a function.
Not a function. So what is happening actually? So there is a concept called hoisting in JavaScript. Okay,
Okay.
hoisting. So that we will see. We have to learn about that when we will start scope. Okay, in that we are going to see what exactly hoisting is and shadowing is. So the basic difference here in the function, later on I'm going to explain about you the hosting, what exactly is that and how it works actually. So the basic difference in interview, if someone is asking you like what is the difference between function declaration or function statement, function declaration and function statement both are same. So you can say simply the function declaration and function expression. So the difference between function declaration and function expression is the syntax is a bit different. In function declaration, the first word will be function. Okay, what you have to say? In function declaration, the first word will be the function, but that is not the same case for the function expression. In function expression, always we need to assign a function inside a variable. Another thing, the another difference is if you will try to call a function the function statement before its declaration, it is possible that you can call it, but you cannot call a function expression before its actual assignment, isn't it? That we have seen. We will get error. What type of error? Type error. I'll show you that after completion of this function module now, what type of errors are there in JavaScript and how to identify that one.
So why is it not possible here for expression?
Yeah. So to call this one,
Yes.
because of hosting, means initially when you will declare it, no. So the value is something else. And when you are assigning this one, the value is getting changed here, means reassignment is happening. That I will show you in hosting. Don't worry about that right now. So you can say simply here, because of hosting, it is not possible to call this one. Okay. So how actually hosting is going to work, that I'll show you in a scopes. Maybe tomorrow only I'm going to show you that a scope, hosting, and shadowing, these three things. So till that time, just understand that concept. Like here in function declaration, you can call this function before its declaration, but in function expression, it is not possible. Okay. Second thing here, you have seen that you need to assign this function as a what expression in any other variable. Fine. So this is the basic difference. Both of them are not same. And if you will see here, apart from this invocation, means here it is working before declaration, here it is not working. Why they have introduced this function expression in JavaScript? Because of that, what we say, that functional programming approach only, they have defined this one. So in JavaScript, functions are like the you can say the first class citizen. You can pass this one as an object, as the value. You can return a function from a function, that also we are going to see. That's why it is known as what? First class citizen or first class function. Okay, in JavaScript. So now we have seen already, like we can assign a function as a value in a variable. So this is known as function expression. Okay. What is function expression? When we assign a function as a value in any variable, that is known as function expression. Okay. Now another thing here we have that we are going to see is, are you aware of like what exactly the parameter is or the argument?
Yeah.
So what is parameter?
Inside a function, we
Feature
passes
inside. Yeah.
Sorry.
means inside the functions, we passes the value. For example, a function add, inside add parenthesis we add the int x, int y, like that. Means theoretical I didn't know, but in practical I know.
Yeah, practically only I'm going to show you. See here, every time if you want to reuse this function, this is not useful. If you want to add two numbers, let's say, so every time you will get the same result here, isn't it? What if you want a dynamic result here every time? So
Parameter.
here what you have to do, you need to pass parameters. Okay, what you need to pass? Parameters, which are going to hold the values which you will pass at the runtime. So this is like basic structure, you can say the blueprint. Okay, simply I'm going to call the first parameter here. This is the first parameter, comma. You need to add comma to separate two parameters. Okay, then num2, and whatever parameters you are getting, that you need to add here, isn't it? If you want to perform addition on these two numbers. Okay, so this is done. Now I'm going to call this one as add. Okay, I'm going to pass here 2, 5. So what you will get? 7. Now tell me here one thing. Here, what is 2? What is 5? And what is num1 and num2?
Num1 and num2 are parameters you are passing.
Yes. And how about 2 and 5?
Yes.
Have you heard of actual parameter and formal parameter in C or C++? No? See, so in function declaration, whatever you are passing in the like parenthesis of that function, that is known as what? Parameter. And actually the value which you are passing at the call time or the invocation time, that is known as argument.
Mm.
Okay. This is known as what? Argument. And this is parameters.
So here you read the this return type, right? Function is of return type, then it's give the undefined.
No, this is like while declaring that method you are getting, no,
Okay.
not
Okay.
means when I'm calling, you are not getting any undefined value. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So here, if you will see, this is known as while declaration. If you add any like placeholder, you can say this is kind of variable only, no? It is going to hold some value which you are going to pass. So it will map like this. The first argument will be stored inside the first parameter. The second argument will be stored in the second parameter, like that. So this is known as parameters. Okay. Here we have two parameters. How many parameters are there? Two parameters. The first one is the num1, second one is the num2. Okay. One more thing here. If I'm passing here num here 2, so this will be stored inside which parameter? Tell me.
Num1.
Num1. Okay. And how about 5?
Num2.
In num2. So num1 is a kind of variable which is going to store the first value because this one is on the first place, isn't it? And the second one, here we have 5, which is going to be stored inside num2. Let's say here I'm not going to pass any value, just I'm passing 2. So what will be the value of num2?
By default, it is none or 0.
0.
Null.
See, if I'm just pressing here enter, we are getting not a number. Okay. See here,
Undefined.
if you are saying simply this value is 0, so it should be 2 plus 0. It should be 2. It means by default value is 0 is not correct. Second thing, if you are saying null, so 2 plus null is what? Not a number,
Not a number.
isn't it? And whether it is a null or undefined right now, I'm not sure. So what you can do simply, what you can do is
We'll
here,
pass the parameter. Both the parameter.
here just we need to return the value of that num2, isn't it? And what is that? Whenever I'm calling here, you can see add 2 means first value I'm passing, which will be stored inside num1, and inside num2 there is no value, so that's why it is returning undefined. Now I'm going to prove you. Let's say here I'm going to pass 7, so it is going to return here what? 7. Now if you'll pass here null, okay, then it will return you what? Null. So it proves that by default, if you have a parameter and you're not passing that respective value while invoking a function or calling a function, the default value will be what? Undefined. So this is the third case you need to remember. If you are declaring a variable and not assigning any value, the default value will be undefined. If you are calling a function and you are not returning explicitly any value from a function, you will get return type as a undefined. If you are declaring a parameter inside a function and not passing the respective argument for that particular parameter, then also you will get the default value as what? Undefined. Is that clear? Everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So why to use parameters? Just for the reusability. Okay. In functions, every time if you want a dynamic value, then you have to keep here these parameters as a placeholder. That is going to store that value which you are going to pass in the runtime, and then you can reuse that as per your requirement, isn't it? So here now you can see every time if you want to add two numbers, just you need to pass two different numbers, and this function, the structure will be same, num1 plus num2. Okay. So once only you have to declare a function, and you can call this function as many times you want. So here you can see it is giving you a kind of suggestion here, hint, that you need to pass the num1 value. This one is highlighted. Let's say 2. And then you need to separate those two arguments here also with a comma. Now see, the second one is highlighted. This one is bold. You need to pass the second value. So here we have what? 9. Okay. So now we can call this one as 7. So the same function, every time you are calling, just you are changing the values. So here you can see how we can reuse a function by using these parameters. Okay. And just you need to pass these things at runtime. So this is the second interview question here in function. Like after that, function declaration and function statement, even like many question we can form here actually. What is the default return type of function, and what is the default value of a parameter if you're not passing any value in it? Here we have another thing, what is the difference between parameter and argument? So parameter means while declaring a function, if you are passing a placeholder, okay, just to store a value, that is known as parameter. An argument is like while calling a function inside parentheses, if you're passing any value, that is known as argument. Is that clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Yes. Now we have seen the function declaration, we have seen the function expression. Okay. So one thing here in function expression, they might ask you like, what is the difference between function expression and named function expression? Okay. Function expression and named function expression. I'm going to just remove this one. We know that we cannot call this function expression before its declaration. We will get type error. So I'm going to call it. So what will be the output now? It is going to execute or not?
Yes.
Yes. Here we have just function. Yes, it is going to execute that one, and you will get magic 2. So always remember, whenever you are using a function expression, just you need to do what? You need to declare a function. Okay. And then you can simply write that parents, and the same way as we define a normal function, we can write that. But it is not possible with this, because why it is not possible here? Why it is not possible here? Because it is not an expression. Even if you'll try to declare like this, you are not going to use this one. How you will call this function now? That is not possible, no? So that is invalid syntax. This function statement require a function name. Okay. Until and unless if you will not define a function name, how you are going to use this one? in future. So it is not possible with the function declaration or function statement, but you can do this one with the function expression. Okay, you can do with this function expression. So this is known as anonymous function expression, normal function expression also you can say. And this function is known as anonymous function because we do not have any name for this. Okay, if you will see here, simply if you are going to return this one magic2, there is no name for this function. And if you have like means 100 functions in your code, and while debugging, if you will get this anonymous function, you won't be able to identify from where it is getting called. So it is always better to write, even though if you are not writing, most of the developers are not using the name for the anonymous function whenever they are using as a function expression, but it is always best practice to use what? A name for the expression. So here I'm going to write, let's say magic, simply magic, not same as this one. You can write the same thing, just for the demonstration I'm going to write here magic. And now if I'll give a name over here, it will return this function as a name here with that name, sorry, with that name here as magic, but here it was showing me as an anonymous function. Okay, so this type of function expression is known as named function expression. This is also interview question. What do you mean by named function expression? So when a function expression has a name, that is known as named function expression. Okay, and what is the use of this one? Okay, so have you heard of a term called recursion? Anyone?
A function calling itself.
Yes. So if a function calling itself, that is known as what? Recursion. So here in function expression, it is possible that you can call this function, same function, with that name magic2. But in callback, I will show you what is the use of this named function expression, how you can use that one, and what is the advantage over there. So here, if you will call, let's say, simply console.log, I'm going to print here magic2. Okay, same, no? Magic2. It is going to return sorry. Here I'm going to declare this one. Now I'm going to call this magic2. So it will return me the same function. See, with this name magic2. Here magic2 is returning what? This anonymous function. You can see. And what is the name of this function right now when it is returning? Magic, whatever we have defined here as a function expression name. Okay, and it is able to call itself. If you want to execute, you can execute this one, but that will be like in loop. Every time it is going to call itself. So it will run like infinite time. So the browser will get stuck here. So that I'm not going to do right now. So you can see here, I'm able to call this one here. It is possible. Now tell me one thing, if I'm going to call simply magic, what will be the output? Now, instead of magic2, I'm going to call magic. Anyone? Error, it will be like the same result here as we have, or something else. Simply, I'm going to write here magic2. So if you'll write magic2, it is going to return this function. Okay. And if you are going to write this, you will get error because that is not available outside this one. So magic is not defined. It is giving me reference error, but it is there. Okay. So you cannot use outside this scope. Scope we will see. But if you will call magic 2, no, if you will call means invoke this one, magic 2, you will get the same result as we were getting here for this one. Okay. So if you are calling magic or magic 2, so if you have a named function expression, you are able to call this name or this name inside this function. Okay. So this is known as named function expression. And there is one advantage also that I'm going to show you. When we do not have any name, that is known as anonymous function. When we have a name, that is known as, like if you're not assigning it, that is function statement. If you are assigning inside a variable, that is known as function expression. If we have name, that is named function expression. Any question, anyone? No? Okay, fine. We have one more thing here, is known as callback function. Anyone of you heard of that? Like what exactly the callback function is?
It's recursion.
No,
No, then
not.
I didn't heard it.
Okay, recursion is a different thing and callback is a different thing. Let's
Because
say, yeah, please go ahead.
no, sir. You go ahead.
Yeah. So here the callback is an like the in function, most of the time we are going to use callback function. So whenever you are going to pass a function as an argument, what do you mean by argument?
Mm, uh,
While, yeah,
while calling the function, we passes the value.
yeah. So as a value means while running a function or invoking a function, if you're going to pass
What's the
a
parameter?
function as an argument, not parameter, as an argument to the parameter, that is known as callback. Okay. So that I'm going to show you. Let's say here we have a function, simple function. I'm going to use function. Okay. Calculate area. Okay. So here I'm going to pass what? Radius. So area of circle. Okay. Area of circle. And I will return here what? This one. Return. So what is the formula for area of circle? Pi r square.
IR square.
So
IR square.
pi value is 3.14159. So we can write simply into radius.
Into radius.
So a spelling here, I need to write radius. I can copy this one. We can write radius into radius, isn't it? Or instead of this, what we can do? You remember this exponential operator?
Yes.
We can do this one also, isn't it?
Yes.
So here we have like a function just to calculate the area of a circle, isn't it? So just I'm going to call this one calculate area, and just what I need to pass here, radius of the circle. So let's say I'm giving you 2. This is the result. If I'm giving 4, this is the result. Now, if you have to find what, like circumference, okay, circumference of a circle. So what is the formula for that one?
2 pi r.
2 pi r.
So 2 into 3.14159 into, sorry, radius, isn't it? And here again, you have to do what? This one. This is another function, calculate area, calculate circle, isn't it? So like that, you might have like n number of functions just to calculate different things based on the radius, isn't it? So here we are declaring multiple functions. So in this case, if you're going to just calculate just one thing, you can declare a function. But based on the radius, you have like 30, 40 things to calculate. What you can do, simply, you can write a main function called, let's say here, I'm going to write it as calculate. Okay. And here we need to pass the logic, or we can say the operation which we want to perform. So simply OP, return OP. And what is common in these two functions? What we are getting as a parameter?
Radius.
Radius. So we will pass here radius as an argument. Okay. So one function I have declared like this. This is the main function. Now, on top of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare this one. What? Calculate area. Okay. And here we have calculate circumference, isn't it? So these two things we need to calculate. So I'm not sure what I need, like based on the, like if you have a calculator like add, multiply, subtract, divide, like that also you might have like multiple functions. But in this case, what I'm going to do, simply the main function is this one, calculate. Okay. So in calculate, how many parameters are there? If you will see,
2.
2. Okay. And what you have to calculate, tell me anything here. If you want to calculate, let's say area. Okay. So the first thing what you need to pass here, radius. So 2 will be the radius. And the second thing you need to pass a callback, not like this. Okay. You need to pass this one, that function declaration. So this is already there. So you need to pass that logic here. Radius is 2 and you want to calculate what? Area. Now, if you want to calculate circle, you are getting here. Okay.
It's showing the same.
Answer is same. Maybe the logic. I need to check here.
Sir, same, sir, because 2
Is
pi r
2, yeah.
square. Same.
So here I'm going
2.
to use
2
3.
is 2.
And now see, we are getting this. So as you can see here, we are passing this function, the complete function, okay, as an argument here. And based on our requirement, and you can see where we are passing to this calculate function. And inside OP, that function declaration will be as it is. So if you want to perform some other operation before this, you can, okay? And then based on your requirement, callback means whenever you want that function, call back that function and execute it. Is that clear? What is callback function? Whenever you are using a function declaration as an argument, okay, while invoking that another function where you want to invoke that declaration, that is known as what? Callback function. So here we are using this declaration inside this one. Apart from this, like let's say if you have just a single function, like this, okay, here we have this function. Again, I'm going to use this one. Here we have this function, and now I'm going to call this. So simply what you can do, you can write here function, okay, and here what I'm going to do, I'm going to write radius return let's say diameter. I'm going to find out here. So diameter, we can say radius into 2, isn't it? So if I'll call this one, I'll get this. So here I'm passing this one. You can see what type of function it is. This is a callback function because I'm passing this one as an argument, isn't it? While calling this calculate function. But this is also an expression. And what type of expression is? Anonymous or named?
Named.
This one is anonymous because here we have just a function keyword. No name is there. Okay. Now I will show you here one more thing. Return. Okay. Return. Now tell me one thing. If you have this function and you want to call this function, how you will call it? You do not have any name there.
Yes.
And you have to call this function itself here. How you are going to call this one?
We'll make a alias name.
Is there any way that you can call?
Maybe it's possible in JavaScript.
See, so in this case, there is a way, but if you will use one thing is there in JavaScript, use a stick, then that is not possible. So because of that case only, the named function expression they have introduced. So here, if I'm going to write that diameter, okay. So simply you can call this one. Let's say here, just I'm returning the function expression, the same expression here. So let's say here it is going to return the diameter, but before that, see, it is returning or not? It is returning or not? Here it is returning, but in this case, if you do not have any name, how you are going to call this function itself? I'm not executing here, just I'm calling that function. If you are not able to call, how you will execute? Isn't it? So for that, we have one thing here, that is arguments, that I'll show you. Arguments. So by default, if you want to check the arguments of a function that is kind of array, so here argument, you can see what argument I'm passing. The first one as what argument we are passing here? Inside radius, the value is passing 3, isn't it? Here I'm returning what you can see, no? So here we are returning just simply this one, radius. Radius. We have declared here calculate return OP radius, and here we are calling it. So 3 is going to copy it inside radius, And this function is going to copy it inside what? OP. So OP and then radius I'm saying. So OP is what exactly? The function which you are passing. Okay. And radius is what? 3. So it is going to return 3 if you will pass. But here what I'm doing, I'm just returning the arguments. Okay. Here we have one function called callee. So kind of object. So if you want to call this function, simply you need to use this dot callee range error, means that is calling itself here. You can call this function. So this is a way that you can call an expression named anonymous function expression.
What error is it showing?
Maximum call stack size exceeded means if you will call something like more than like 1600 times. So the maximum size is 1600, I think, or 16,000. Yeah. So if that is going to exceed, then you will get this error. Because whenever you are calling this, that is being added in the call stack. In a scope, I'm going to show you how exactly call stack is going to work. That is kind of data structure, and that data structure we use to just trace where we are in the program. Okay, because JavaScript is the synchronous programming language. At a time, it can perform only one operation, one by one. Okay, so just to trace that, we use that call stack data structure. Tomorrow we are going to see that. So here now you see what is the advantage of that named function expression. Whenever you are going to give a name for this function expression, you will be able to call it. Even when you are going to debug it, you will be able to see the name of that function. Otherwise, every function will be anonymous. And that is very difficult to trace if you have like thousands of functions. Okay. So it is always better to do to provide a name for the function expression. Is that clear? And now the callback function, whenever someone is asking you what is callback function, you can say whenever we are going to pass a function declaration as an argument to another function, that is known as callback. Clear? And we have seen here the usage also for that callback function. Any question? Anyone? No? Okay, fine. So another thing here we have that is known as function, immediately invoked function expression. So if you are declaring any function, you can call n number of times. Here we have this function, no? Calculate area. We can call this one calculate area as many times you want, like 3. Again, I can call it 4. I can call it 6, isn't it? As many times you want, you can call it. But what is immediately invoked function expression? So that we are going to see in functions. So here we are going to write a simple function. Okay. And magic. And here I'm going to just print this one, console.log executed. So here we have a normal function. We have declared it. What if you want to call this one? What you have to do is you need to write this function name and then you need to invoke this one, isn't it? With this parenthesis, correct? Everyone, how to call a
Yes.
function? Just we need to write that function name, and then to invoke that function we have to use the parenthesis. That is known as function invocation or function call, isn't it? If someone is going to ask you how to identify whether it is a function statement or function expression, what you are going to reply?
If we are using a variable and
Yeah, that is also one case.
Function statement and declaration always start with function. In func keyword, as you told.
Yes, yes. The first word itself will be the function. Okay. If you do not have the first character also as a f or function f, okay, then that will be something else. Means if you are writing incorrect thing, like incorrect syntax, you will get error. Otherwise, it will be always expression. So simply, let's say I'm going to write this one like this. What it is going to do? It is just going to return the expression, isn't it? So let's say if I'm writing here 2 plus 5, what will be the output here? Anyone? It will be 7, no? Because it is going to evaluate, and then it will return you the result because this is inside a parenthesis. So generally, if you do not have anything before the opening parents, okay, and you are writing like this, you are wrapping inside the parenthesis, so that is going to evaluate always. Means in between those parentheses, always we will have what kind of expression. Okay, it is going to evaluate. The same thing is happening here, if you will observe. So this is kind of normal expression now, isn't it? Because that is inside what? Parenthesis. Okay, now if I'm just going to press enter here, we have declared a normal function. If I will write now magic, we are getting same kind of expression or not as we were getting here? Is same or something different? Tell me. Just observe that one. Is same or something different? Output I'm saying, just compare the output. Is same or different? Any difference?
No.
No. So it means if I'm writing simply inside this parenthesis, so it is giving me just immediately returning this function, isn't it? And if I'm writing the function name, then also it is returning the what? That function expression. So if I want to call this function, so what else I need to add over here?
Parenthesis only.
Parenthesis,
Before the
exactly.
function.
So it will invoke that function, you are getting automatically got executed, isn't it? So if I'm writing like this, I will get what? This expression, isn't it? So can we invoke this function also? Because this is also kind of expression as we were getting here with that magic. So to invoke that function, what we can use here? Because we have already one expression and just we need to invoke it. We will use this parenthesis and it is going to again execute this one as a automatically got executed. Is it working or not? So this is known as immediately invoked expression. Why I'm saying immediately invoked function expression? Because here, as you can see, we have declared a function as an expression and we are executing here. So only once it will be executed. Okay, only once. You cannot call this function anymore. Is there any way that we can call somewhere else? If you will call simply this one, let me just refresh this one. If I'm going to declare here magic, and if you will try to call this magic, that is not available outside. This magic is not defined because this magic is inside this parenthesis. Is that clear? Is that clear? If it is not available outside, it means you cannot call it, isn't it? So here only, whenever you are going to write that function, there itself it will execute automatically. So that's why it is known as what? Immediately invoked function expression, or IIFE. Okay, this is also one important interview question. They might ask you what is IIFE, when we can use it. If you want to execute something only once, or automatically if you want to call something, then you can use immediately invoked function expression. You are not going to call it somewhere else. Immediately you are going to execute this one. So another syntax also is there that you can write. Instead of writing this outside, what you can do, inside also you can write this one. Okay, and it will execute that. The same way it is working. Is that clear? So if you're writing simply inside this, it is just evaluating and then executing that. Okay. But what if you are going to just remove this one like this? It will give you error because here you are not evaluating it. Okay. We have simple declaration and then just dummy parenthesis. So there is no use of this one. So this is a syntax error you can see here. So for that one, what you need to do, you need to wrap all those things inside the parenthesis. So parenthesis means I already explained you. This is going to evaluate those things as an expression. Okay. So here inside this one, if you will check the operator precedence, so the left to right operation it is going to perform inside what? What we say? Simply the by default one. I think there is no associativity for this one. I think there is no associativity. If you have any operator, then only it is going to perform the operation. So see here, we have what? The function expression, and immediately we are invoking it. So either you can write inside or outside. It will work in the same way. One more thing. So what if here you want to pass an argument? And if you want to declare a parameter, then so what you can do is simply num1. Here I'm going to just show you that whatever value you will pass. So here you need to pass, let's say 20. It is going to execute that one and you are getting that value. Okay, it is working in the same way, but the only difference, the syntax, and it is going to execute only once because we do not have the accessibility. Even though we have this named function expression, we are not able to call outside this scope, outside this bracket, because I have defined this one as an expression. So immediately it is going to evaluate here inside this and it will invoke. Okay, is that clear, everyone? Excuse me. And here, if we will not write anything, what type of function expression it is? Anonymous function expression. Still it is going to execute this. So what we have learned yet, what is function declaration, about the naming convention of function, what is function call or function invocation or callable values, we have seen. Okay, we have learned about the return keyword. We have seen what is the default return type of a function. We have seen what is the default value if we are declaring a parameter and we are not passing any value for that, then what will be the default value. We have seen the callback function. We have learned about the function expression. We have learned about the named function expression, anonymous function. We have learned about the IIFE. We have seen the difference between the what we say like the argument and parameter, isn't it? We have seen how to call anonymous function also, okay, by using arguments.callee. And type of function will be always function, but it is a subtype of an object that you need to remember. So we left with just two functions now, that is higher order function and arrow function. Okay, so now I'm going to show you here what exactly the higher order function is. Callback function we have seen, like whenever you are going to pass a function as an argument to another function, that is known as callback function. Now we are going to learn about the
So
higher
can you
order.
just recap about IIFE? I didn't remember it.
So IIFE is a kind of function expression that you can execute only once in its scope. Okay, immediately it is going to execute that one,
Okay.
and you cannot recall this function again anywhere. So there is no reusability for this function. Only once you can execute, and automatically it is going to be executed if you'll invoke there. Okay, and its name, even though if you are going to declare a named function expression, that function name will be not accessible outside that parenthesis.
Okay.
Clear?
Sir, can you just give one example so I remember?
Of what? If we
Hmm.
let's say if you want to execute something automatically,
IIFE means that inside parentheses you write the function. That one?
yeah,
Okay. Got it.
yeah, that one is the if only, the immediately invoked function expression. Okay, the name itself is stating no, immediately invoked function expression. You are writing a function expression and immediately you are calling it by itself without using any name. Okay, so now we are going to learn about the higher order function. What exactly the higher order function is. So a higher order function is, and even one more function is there, currying function. Okay, that also we will see, but before that I'm going to explain you about the higher order function. So a higher order function is which accepts a function as an argument, okay, and which return also a function as an you can say the return value, return type. It is going to return you another function. So that we will see. Let's say here we have a function, okay, and I'm writing here cricket, and I'm going to return here another function. So here also you can write either named function or anonymous function. Okay, I'm going to return what? A function. So here I'm going to write simply, in real time we will use it later, but just to show you what exactly the higher order function is. So here I'm going to print it is working as expected. Okay, So now tell me one thing. If I'll check just cricket, what will be the value inside it? That complete function structure here we have. That we already know. This is one expression. If you want to call this function, what you have to do?
Add
What we have
parenthesis
to,
after cricket.
parenthesis we need to add. And what will be the output if I'll add parenthesis?
It is
Is
working
working
as
as
expected.
No, it is going to return a complete function expression. So it is returning that function expression which I have written over here. Okay. Now, how to execute this one? That is not possible, no? So for that, what you need to do is you need to write here, let's say, like data, anything you can call it, like based on your requirement, you have to name it like accordingly. That meaningful name you have to write here. But in this case, just I'm going to do what? I'm going to write that cricket. If you will write simply cricket, data will be same as what? This cricket function, because you are going to assign the same thing, same expression in data, isn't it? But what I want, after execution of cricket, what it is returning? This function, isn't it? So it will be stored inside the data. Okay. So now check the data. So inside data, we have that returned function. You can see the same, no? Now we can execute it later. Simply see, to execute this function expression, again, we need to call this one. Then it is working as fine. Like it is saying it is working as expected. Okay. So here, this is known as higher order function. Like you can simply say a function which accepts. Right now, I'm not passing any callback function here, which accept callback. Okay. And it also returns a function as an output. That is known as what? Higher order function. This is not a nested function. This is a higher order function. Nested function means simply a function inside a function, another function, isn't it? So that is known as nested function. But here we have a different scenario. Here we are returning, whenever I'm calling this cricket, it is returning another function as an output. And later, based on your requirement, you can execute it. So we have a concept called closure that we will see later. But for this one, I'm going to show you. Let's say here we have a function. Okay. Demo. Where score is equal to 0. Okay. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply return sorry, return updated score. Okay. Updated score here, updated value we need to pass. And then what I'm going to do is simply return whatever score we have now, a score, add in that updated value. Okay. Okay. Something is not correct. Oh, sorry. So here I need to write function, no? So this is a named function expression. So let's say here I'm saying simply demo. If I'll call it, you can see it is returning that update score. Okay, so this one. So I'm saying here player 1 is equal to, I need to call this demo. So demo, if I'll call, you can see, if I'll call demo, inside that this function is stored. So here we need to pass one argument for this one. So simply what I'm going to do, player, let's say he's playing and he scores like, let's say 4. So updated value is 4. Again, he scored 4. So updated value is 8. He scored 1. So updated value is 9. Now the player 2 is also playing. So again, I'm going to execute this demo, and instead of player 1, player 2, I'm going to, he has scored 1 first. He has scored 6. He has scored again 4. So updated value, you can see the is 11. And if you will just see the score of the player 1, if he'll score again 4, so updated value is 13. So it still remembers actually what was the previous value, and you can create like n number of what kind of object you can call, and it will remember. So in that case, you can use this higher order function. So in APIs also, they are using the same concept, kind of closure, which always remembers like the individual object which you are going to create, and it is creating like that. It is returning another function, and then you can use that function as per your requirement. Is that clear? So here we have seen just one scenario. Another scenario, like you can pass one callback also in it. So that is known as higher order function. Okay, a function which accepts a callback, as well as if it returns another function as an output, that is known as higher order function. Okay, one more thing here, instead of simply writing this return score, what you can do is, I'm going to copy this one, I'll paste it. If you're not writing like this, what you can do, Control X, you can write simply where data is equal to, write that function, write that function here, and then as a output here you can return data. So either way you can use, like first you can declare that like function expression, and here you need to assign that one into some variable, and finally you can return that variable. This is also possible. It will work in the same way. Another thing is here that you need to remember. Okay. What will happen if you will write like this? Anyone knows about this? See, if I'll execute this one, and then if I'm going to execute the demo, the function expression is there, the complete function. But if you'll execute, it is going to return undefined. What is happening, automatically JavaScript engine is going to invoke here one semicolon. So that is known as ASI concept, automatically semicolon in insertion concept. So it will invoke here, and after return statement, nothing is going to be executed. That I think you know already. Inside one function, inside one function, for this function, or you can say the one function can return only one value. Okay, multiple values also you can return, but by using arrays and objects. Is that clear? So like that you can write. So whenever you are returning immediately that function, So do remember this one. Never ever press your enter for this. Otherwise, automatically it will add here one semicolon and these blocks will not be executed here. Clear? So that you need to remember that. Apart from this, what is currying function? Here, one more thing you can see, as I was showing you, no? Let's say here we have one function called this one. And simply if you are writing cricket, no? Cricket. So here we have this function, complete function expression. If you will execute this one, it is going to return this function, isn't it? So here itself, if you want to execute that function also, what you can do? Anyone can tell me? See, to invoke cricket function, what we have to do? Right now, cricket is one expression. See here first, cricket is one expression. If you want to execute this expression, what you have to do? To call a function, what we have to do?
Parenthesis.
Parenthesis. And after adding this, we are calling and we are getting again one expression. Okay. So here, as a result, I'm getting this expression. So here also we have one expression. To execute this one, can we add again one more parenthesis? It will work.
No, it will not work.
It will work here.
Work.
Okay. So you can write like this also. So it will execute. It is possible actually. Because whenever you need to remember, whenever you have a function expression and you want to call it, just add a parenthesis. That you need to remember. That's why I explained you this. It is possible here. Okay. Now we are going to learn about the currying function. So what is currying function? This is also a higher order function, but let's say at a runtime, if you want to pass an argument for the nested functions also, okay, then you use which one? Currying function. So here I'm going to write, let's say, function. Okay. F1. Here you can say value 1. I'm going to copy it. So as I said, this is a higher order function, means it is going to return a function. So simply here it will return another function. I'm saying here simply F2, and value is going to be value 2. Again, inside this function, again we have another function which is returning a function. And here I'm going to simply write return, and the parameter I need to change it to 3. So I will write here value 1. So where is value 1? For the first function parameter, plus value 2 plus value 3. Okay, we have this function. If I want to invoke this function, what we have to do? Just I'm going to show you here. We have this structure. So inside F1, we have these things already stored, the complete structure of this function. So if you want to invoke this one, what we have to do? Same parenthesis. It will return the second function. Okay. So if you want to execute this one, what we have to do now? We need to store somewhere, or another thing also we can do. Just now we have seen, if you will add one more parenthesis, it will return the last one. If you will add one more parenthesis, it will return the final output. So here we are not passing any value or argument, you can say. So the default one will be what? Anyone? If you're not passing any argument value and you have a placeholder, means parameter, so the default parameter value will be what?
Undefined.
Undefined. For second also undefined, for third also undefined. So here it is adding undefined plus undefined plus undefined, and you are getting what? Not a number. So at a time, at the nested level, if you want to pass the values and you want to perform some operation on it, then you can use what? Currying function. Let's say here we have 1, 2, and 3. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 3 is 6. Let's say here we have 20, you are getting 24. So we are able to pass argument to the nested functions also at runtime at once. It is not possible directly, actually in any other, we can say in other programming language, I think. Is that possible? Have you used this one? In interview, they ask this type of question also, like if they will give you like this F1 or a function, any function name, and then they will give you like 2 or 3 parentheses, and they will ask you like what will be the output based on that. So just you need to go one by one. Like if you are going to call this function, what you are going to get as a result, that will be expression. Again, if you will execute, what you will get as a result. Again, if you will execute that expression, what you will get as a result. So like that, you need to understand here. So in currying function, you can see each and every function is returning some value. Okay. Here, the first function is returning another function. The second function is returning again another function, and the last function is returning a value. And you can, here I'm adding it, but you can perform anything here by using this currying function. And what is the advantage here? At runtime only, we are able to pass to all those 3 functions the different argument, isn't it? Is that clear? So this is known as currying function. One more thing here, the last one I'm going to show you, that is like and default function argument I'm going to show you here. Let's say if you have to set function add num1 comma num2 comma num3, 3 parameters are there. Okay, so here I'm going to add like console.log. Okay, num1 comma num2 comma num3. Now if I'll call this one add, what will be the output? Anyone?
It will return the whole expression.
Now
Like, can you just remove that?
yes,
Undefined. Sorry, I can't predict.
yeah, so here see, you are right actually. For num1 we are not passing any value, for num2 we are not passing any value, for num3 we are not passing any value. So we will get undefined, undefined, and undefined, isn't it? And as we are not returning anything here, so for the whole function return type, you can see that is also undefined. Now, what if I'm passing here just 2? What will be the output? If I'm passing 2, it will be 2 undefined, undefined. So for num1 we are passing, it is taking the first value as for num1. If you are passing 2 comma 4, so the output will be 2, 4, and the last one is undefined. If you're passing 2 comma 4 comma 7, the output will be 2, 4, 7. So line by line, you can see from left to right, it is mapping one by one. Okay, now tell me what will be the output. Error. So here it is not possible. So if you don't want to pass something here for the second number, simply you can pass the undefined. So here you have 2 undefined and 7. Okay, that is fine. That is fine. Now here we have this one, and you have to do one thing, like you have to put a check over here. Just give me 2 minutes. Huh? I'll explain you this. So you have to put a check over here. If the num or any parameter value is undefined, okay, by default you have to print something else. So what you can do, either you can use if num1 double equal to undefined, then num1 value should be 0. Okay. The same thing here you can do for num2 also, isn't it? Num3. Now I'm going to call this one. If I'm not passing anything, what will be the output? 0, 0, 0, because when it is checking num1 value was undefined, it is resetting it to what? 0. For num2 also 0, for num3 also 0. When I'm passing 1, so the output will be 1, 0, 0, because here I'm passing 1, so it will check num1 is equal to undefined. No, so it will not set anything here. That will be the default value. So num1 is 1. If you will pass, let's say 1 comma 3, so output is 1, 3 and 0 comma 7, so your output is 1, 3, 7. So we can do like this. Apart from this, we can do one more thing. Num1 is equal to, if the value is num1 is undefined, okay, if it is true, we have already seen this one, no? If it is true, assign that one. If it is false, go for the next one. Okay, so here we can set it as 0. Okay, and optional value we can set here, let's say invalid, like that. Num2, instead of writing that if, we can write like that also. 3, 3. So now I'm going to show you here. Everything is invalid. Here you will get 137. If you'll pass simply undefined, you will get 1 invalid and then 7. So previously we were doing these things to set a default value, but Now in ECMAScript 6, they have introduced the default parameter value option that we can use. Okay. So what we can do is simply, I'm writing here that is 0. That is 0. That is 0. So if I'm not passing anything, everything will be 0. If you are passing like this, first one you are passing, so that is a like not undefined. So you have here 1. If you're passing undefined, we have 0, and we are passing 7, then we have that value as 7. So in the same way, we can pass 1, 4. So 1, 4. So num1 value here, you can see we are passing not like undefined value. So it is the actual value here. You can see that is other than undefined, whatever you will pass, no, it will accept as a value. If you are passing undefined or you are skipping that one, so then in that case, what it is going to do, it is going to reset that value as 0. So default parameter value, you can set it here like this. So that is possible in like JavaScript. Okay. So in functions, we have learned almost everything. So we left with arrow function and function overloading and overriding. That we will see tomorrow, and we'll start about the JavaScript errors and then scope.